I think, John, thank you. I think a lot of roofing company owners want to build their personal brand and don't know where to start. I will say, don't get too sucked into the industry nonsense, because as both you and I know that there's a lot of people out there that aren't really doing anything of substance, but have a big personal brand. So like it's hard to not get sucked into that. That's kind of
Yes,
where you want to
I
watch out.
understand where you come from. I think there's a little bit of a political or drama that goes
Yeah.
on, and I think with the industry we have it. But building my personal brand, like I came from a dark history to where I'm
Yeah.
at now, and it's like I need to tell my story because
Yeah.
I've created a business that is beyond my wildest dreams
Yeah.
in this industry, and I've seen so many people's lives some change. And I'm that guy that eats the same shit, goes to the gym, wakes up at 5, goes to cardio, but I came from a place where I was sleeping in my car 6, 7 years ago,
Yeah.
to be able to have this life. And so that's the brand that I want to reach out. Like I don't take,
Yeah.
no, I don't take much shit. Like I'm that person that if you tell me you can't do it, like I don't believe in that. Like I'm a
Yeah. Yeah.
true visionary of like, you got to put it in the universe, that kind of thing. And I want to
Yeah. The
create
other
myself.
great thing about, like, for instance, you're looking to build your personal brand with podcasts. I just want to give you other benefits. Like, if you're getting a lot of times when you go on podcasts, they link back to your website too. So
Mm.
always ask them to link back to your website. And so even if you are doing industry podcasts, that's even better, because then it's from a roofing website or a roofing related website, and they're linking back to your website, which is really good for Google. And that's almost like a level of backlink that like a marketing agency can't even give for you. But there's
That's
other
what
benefits.
some of your reps at Hook have said. Like the more content I also provide myself,
Yeah.
blogs or what you guys do, but other things like video content of myself, they were saying
Yeah.
that too, will actually get more traction in
Oh
the
yeah.
Google space and the
Yeah.
that organic stuff. So I'm like, okay, well,
Always
what do
ask
I need
for the
to do?
link. Always ask for the backlink. So if you're on a podcast and you're getting done, be like, hey, could you also just link back to our website when you put this out there? And then, so I kind of gave you that strategy of follow behind someone who's kind of like you and look at all the podcasts that they're on. It's not a bad thing. I mean, if you're trying to get on a bunch of podcasts, like people in the space that might want you to do business with them is a good, because that's a good strategy. People will have you on their podcast if you're kind of in their ideal customer. And then I think, in addition to just putting out, like, you have the unique benefit, one, that you are a motivational guy, one that you've got some kind of redemption story, that you've kind of, you know what I mean? Like you came from less, or, a bad space. And then now you have a $14 million company and all these $14 million a year company. And there's like an element of like, you can keep putting that out. I think I just saw you got stories with you working out, um, stuff like that. I see, definitely follow like a few CEOs in the space that kind of have a similar.
Yeah, like Todd Price, I started following.
Todd Price is
Yeah,
great.
Todd Price. Yeah,
Um,
and I see all he posts is like him talking and motivational shit on his Instagram.
yeah, he's
But
motivational, because motivational hits more people, because then it's not, it's sales reps could find that attractive, right? Like other people in the industry could find that attractive, like small businesses in your area. So I do think motivational is good because it just kind of hits more people. Todd Price is a good one. Kurt Linnington is another one, maybe on Instagram to follow. And Tony Flatham from Built Right, or excuse me, Built Strong Exteriors out of Minnesota. He's been doing a good job. He mixes like the personal stuff. I think you want to mix in the personal stuff with personal brand, and then the motivational. And then, like, I do think getting on podcasts is a great opportunity, because a lot of times, for instance, we will clip up ours when we do a podcast with you. We'll clip up ours and then put that out onto social. So people are, and it's really crazy, man. Like if you're trying to like just get more visibility in roofing, if you're on like 5, it looks like you're famous. You know what I mean? Like if you get
yeah,
on 5 podcasts, it looks like because it's crazy
yeah,
because,
because that's what I mean. I see
yeah,
you on different podcasts. I
yeah,
see you on the little reels and the skits that you do with these
yeah,
other podcasts. I'm like, man, he's everywhere. But I
yeah,
guess it is as simple as just calling and asking to be on their podcast.
Yeah.
And then it's like, this
And
guy's
look,
awesome.
like, and John, like, I always say, like, or there's an old saying that says, if you want to be a philosopher king, first be a king and then be a philosopher. And to me, that means, like, just in this case, like, if you want to be I hate the word influencer, but if you want to be a roofing company owner influencer, let's say personality. If you want to be a roofing company owner personality, or roofing industry personality, first build the company and then try to be a personality, right? Like, it seems simple enough, but like in your case, you have built the company. And so, like, that's what people should focus on first, and then add this other component, which is like, you are now able to, I think
Like,
it's just
kind of what have I done? Like, what are the things,
yeah.
the repetition, the things that I've done to be able to
Yep.
get to where I'm at today. Like, there has to be a process. Like, nobody just gets to build this much and be in the business for 7 years. And I've been through all kinds of different, experiences that I've learned from as a business owner, from the good, the bad, and the really, really ugly.
Yeah.
And I've experienced a lot of it, but I went over that hump, and I'm here still.
Yeah. And I think that, you just basically look for what you have as raw materials, right? Like, if you've got the redemption story, if you've got we have a, $14 million a year roofing company, like, if you're working out, so you look at what you have as raw materials.
Even personal,
Right?
yeah, personal stuff too, like relationship, wife, all that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I know days when I go when I'm in a funk with my wife, like, if I don't get out of it, it affects my whole surroundings. So I know there's things of stories that I could tell from my experience that I've done, or, and I write it down. I have my little notebook I walk around with,
Mhm.
and I've been thinking, like, what topics to talk about on my podcast.
Yeah.
And I could show you a list. I don't have my book on me, but I have pages
Yeah.
of just different topics.
Yep. And then, yeah, I think just start reaching out and be okay with half of them saying no. That's the
Yeah.
main thing. That's why, and it doesn't always have to be just the ones you've listened to, right? Like, I do think that there's a certain amount of, like, you want to spend time on ones that have actual listenerships. Because, as you know, like, hundreds of podcasts, there's probably 100 podcasts in roofing, right? And I'm on, like, episode like 300, almost 300 or something.
Really.
And, like, just started to get 200, 300 people listening
And
to
how
it a
do you
week.
do your podcast? Do you have a set schedule? Right? You have
Yes,
a set
we
schedule
do
you
it
do?
we do it every Tuesday. It goes out every Tuesday. I don't think, I'm not like a huge, like, the equipment has to be perfect guy. I just think it's more the content has to be
So
good.
don't worry about assessing over because I'll start assessing over the equipment.
No, I think you could get yourself a decent, like, Shure mic, or I use a lot of times, I'll use the little DJI mics.
Yes, little box like
300
that.
bucks. Yeah, 300 bucks for those phone. Like, you don't have to have crazy good stuff, but I think that so don't focus too much on the equipment. It's really more about the content and trying to make the content compelling. And then, like, as you get the content better, you also get a few, like, accoutrements for the making the content, like, cleaner and nicer.
And where
And
do you get your topics? Do you try to stick within the industry that you're
yeah,
in, or do you
you
just
know
try
what?
to stick to the?
Oh yeah, as far as, like, being on
You don't want to
podcasts
be
or
like
just content
political,
in
right?
general.
Like, you're not trying to go political or stay away from that. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I avoid it. I'll even, like, even if I have a great meme with, like, Trump's face or something like that, I avoid that because I just know the conversation goes very quickly into something
sure,
else. And it's
sure.
like,
I think the
I don't
same
want
thing.
to
Yeah.
fucking have to tell you what I think. You know what I mean? Like, um, but basically, so for your content, solo or on podcasts, what would you say? What would you like topic generation style on?
Yeah, I think mine would be more or less, obviously, building a company, the motivational topics of, where I
Yeah,
came from. And
yeah,
really, it's just like what we do every day that can affect the outcome of our
yeah,
situation, good, the bad, the ugly, and like how we can overcome ourselves. And I got so many topics on that, experiences that I've had. And I just want to reach out to people, bring other people in, like, let them talk about their personal opinions on certain matters. Like, I'm a
yeah.
true believer of waking up early. Other people,
So
my wife,
different
she gets
podcasts,
stuff done later.
yeah.
So
So different podcasts have different flavors, right? I usually go and listen to a little bit, like, just at least like 20 minutes of a couple before I go on, just to make sure I'm matching the tone of their, I'm not changing myself. I'm just kind of matching the tenor. Does this guy like to ask a lot of questions? Is this person kind of like, this person wants to talk a lot? Well, then I'm going to kind of back off a little bit and let them talk. And then if it was my podcast, I personally do it a different way, which is I'm looking for search volume, which, as you can imagine, as a guy who runs a search marketing company, I'm literally thinking about like, is this topic for the most part I'm pushing? Like, for instance, I just did one on paying for deductibles. There's search volume on that. And I'm thinking like, as a homeowner, I'm like, I would search that. If somebody gave me that offer to pay it, I would search that right away. Right. So like I was trying to hit that search volume and I try to cover the topic comprehensively. Because my
But
thing
there's
is, I mean,
also topics you could do to increase your volume of searches. That'll
yep.
put you up there.
Yeah, that's my strategy. Other people have different strategies. A lot of times, a lot of these podcasts it'll just be biographic. It'll just be like, hey, tell me all about you. And like, I'm interested in you. And I'm like a little bit more granular. Like, I want to hear, like, if I was to have you on my podcast, I'd be like, what are you doing that's different than a lot of roofing companies that would really help them? So I do think when you go on these podcasts and when you do any kind of content, I think the biggest question is, who is it for? And what is the intended outcome? So like if you said it's for entrepreneurs and the intended outcome is that I can create a personal brand and then be able to connect with more people. Like it'd be really good to get that stuff very identified so that as you grow it, that you can stay motivated, right? Start with the why so you can stay motivated. And I do think if it can come back to money, this is me talking. You can have whatever you want, but like if it does wrap back to money, I'm probably going to stay motivated longer. You know what I mean? Like I certainly enjoy connecting with new people, and I like being on content, but I do it partly because I'm feeding this company. You know what I mean? So if you could figure out it is good though. Podcasting will help get you more links and help you network.
I enjoy helping others too. I mean, I do get the thrill. Like I love the money and
Yeah.
the freedom. Really, it's the freedom more
Yeah.
than just the money. And it started out for the money, right? We all started out for the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the reason why we.
Then after a while, it's like I have enough money per se. Like I don't
Yeah, like
necessarily.
I've gotten that. Okay, that was fun. So now it's seeing. I do get the thrill of like seeing people's lives change. Like seeing other people that have grown, and I have guys that same thing. Like didn't come from much, and now they have something. Like I was able to show them where they could enjoy a different life than they had before. I actually get goosebumps talking about it. Like I know my spirit, my inside feels good about connecting with people that want to change their life, and me reaching out to them. So yeah, so I enjoy that, giving back what was freely given to me. Yeah.
I love that, and I do think there's so many benefits to content and putting yourself out there. You got to know if you really get attention. Like I almost feel like it's good to address. There is people that are negative when you do content. Like there will be comments, and or it's just something like conflicting. But like you read it first thing in the morning, you're like, oh, that person's like contradicting what I was saying, and then I'm just like having a little bit of a bad morning or something like that,
Bad
right?
morning, right? Yeah, yeah.
So
like you want to comment, but you shouldn't. Like I should it.
Yeah. I'm just gonna let that go because I got a business and I'm not trying to like piss anyone off or whatever. So there's an element of like stay who cares a little, like just indifferent, and then note that does happen when you put yourself out there a lot. And essentially, the strategy is I'm trying to like connect with like-minded people, and I'm trying to like have positivity. So just don't get wrapped up in that, but be aware that it will happen and then let it go. Cause who gives a fuck? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just life's too short. So, but it's funny because, sometimes I'll have that from like industry leaders who disagree. That's kind of fun. Like if I see somebody, like if I have a video,
or if you connect yourself with somebody that they really hate, like I see, I'm sure you get some opinions on some of the, other industry leaders, but some people don't like them. And I'm sure they come at you.
and respect to other opinions. Obviously, in my case, and like the case would be the same. Like if you're a home service business and you're connecting with other, like it might even connect you to like a mayoral candidate or something like that to be very connected in the industry, like in the
And that's
local
what I see you
market.
doing too, because you're connected on all types of industries. I'm like, okay, I want to be known. I want my name to connect with everybody. That way, if
Yeah,
I have an opportunity. Like I
yeah,
know truly, I believe, like Brad Lee used to say, the more hands you take, the more money you make. So I want to
mm,
connect, and I can't take everybody's hand, but I can sure put some podcasts and go
yeah.
on the internet and get my name out there.
Now, if I was trying to build your personal brand, like if you're thinking about that, I'm going to try to cover that comprehensively. All other things I would do. One, dude, I love this book, They Ask You Answer. I strongly recommend reading it. They ask you answer, and you can think of it for entrepreneur stuff too, not just to sell more roofs. Sell more roofs, but then also questions about, so the principles are, one, what are the objections? So I'm going to write down every time somebody has an objection. And so on this side, I could say there's an objection for my roof because I'm too expensive. There's an objection for my roof because I can't get them in the queue in the next 3 weeks. So they're saying no. You're writing them all down and then you create a piece of content for each one. It doesn't have to be like, why can't you get my roof done quick? But it's like, why roofs sometimes take a long time. Hey, the best companies are going to have a queue because they actually have quality like crews and standards, right? Like, so you answer that in
So like they're
comprehensiveness.
not just going to hire anybody to come.
No.
That's what I tell our customers.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. The reason why we might be 2 months out is because we do have a production line
Mm-hmm.
that we have that because the people want to use us. Like we're that busy.
So then you get your people all writing. So I'm going to do this one, and then I'm going to do it for the personal brand on the entrepreneur side. So you could get your people all writing down those objections, like your top. Maybe you already have them. You have all your top
Yeah, we
objections.
do have some of them. Yep.
You make a video, or you have your top salesperson because you want to scale your best closer to create the video about that topic, maybe with a little B-roll, and then boom, that's marketing content. But you could also, I just have a new salesperson starting 20, I think it's like maybe more than that, but like let's say 27 plus videos of just me talking about each objection that we face on a regular basis, and then she's just watching them all, and she's getting like what I would say. So it's like almost like, but it's also out there on the internet because it's like, this is what I really say to people. And I'm telling the world this thing about why sometimes hook takes a little while or whatever. And then,
Yeah, while the algorithms and all that take a
yeah,
while, and like
yeah,
I understand it does, and like that's
yeah,
why I said and it's fine. Like I get it because now like we're actually starting to pull. Like last week we had like some crazy amount of leads that came in that haven't happened, and it was just like
yeah.
overnight.
Let's go. Let's go. Well, I also know that we're making big improvements too. So I know I think on the other side, let's say if you're doing the personal brand and you're trying to like connect with more entrepreneurs, I do think it would be good to kind of identify a type of person that you want to connect with, like think about them. And then what would the objection? So that's we got the objections to the roofing. And if you were to create content here, it would be like objections to personal growth or objections to growing as a company. And so you'd be putting out videos like, I know you like, this is the format is like, I know you might think that creating like growing your company right now might be stressful. I know you might actually be scared and like kind of held back a little bit by the fact that like growing to the next level is going to be difficult and tough and stressful. But in my experience, this is what I did to kind of get over that fear and why I'm pressing like the gas is because I know it's going to be uncomfortable if I stay still. Like I'm just kind of giving an example of one, but like you could essentially create like a list of objections to like growing as a person or a company.
And just do
And you
little
can put,
videos in what
yeah,
little 60-second, 2-minute
yeah,
videos.
absolutely. And like if you got those DJI mics and you just
Yes.
have a little extendable stand and you put the DJI mics in the phone like this, and then you speak
Yeah, I
maybe in
have
front
that.
of a
I do
window
have that equipment.
or outside so that there's a good background. Trying to get better with backgrounds is a big deal. Then you can just speak to it like as much as you can speak to it like it's a real person. It's going to connect with real people. So almost think about one person that you're trying to help. Like maybe try to like think of a guy that you're trying to help mentor or something.
Yeah, that's standing in front of you. That's the phone. Yeah, the phone is that person.
Yep, exactly. And so I've got a stand I'll send to you. And then if we put out this video, I'll put it in the description too.
Sure.
But basically like very cheap stand, $30. The DJI mics are like $300. They're incredible. It's always the worst feeling when you thought you recorded and you didn't, the audio. So it's just make sure it's all the way pushed in, because the DJI mics are really annoying like that sometimes.
Sure.
But yeah, the same goes a little bit for people on content on people's podcasts. It really depends on what the topics that they are, because they usually have their pet topics. They're like a sales podcast or a marketing podcast or a leadership podcast. And then you essentially just kind of, well, I've learned some things on leadership, and I think it's better to share stuff that's tough than to just like preach, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I like the more organic stuff. I like the more real, the dirty, nitty gritty stuff. Just kind of be more open. Like, yeah. Can I say, am I embarrassed for some of the things I've done? Sure. Can I been embarrassed with some of the business decisions I made? Sure. But I can tell you that I got through it, made those mistakes, and I've gotten better as a person and a business owner. When's your next, so you said on Tuesday, when's your next available podcast?
It might be a second till it airs, but it would be, I'll send you a link to schedule that. Here, let me send one to you now. So it'd be a 60-minute slot. It might be in a few weeks, and then it might take a few weeks for it to go out. So it wouldn't be like quick.
No, but, okay. It would get on the calendar.
Yeah. I would say other things I might consider on personal brand. I would consider, like, if I was doing an audit of your personal brand, So you're doing a good job about mixing back and forth. Here, let's present. I'm going to present your Facebook to the world. You ready?
Sure.
All right. If I was looking, I think what you're doing better than me right now is that you're doing more personal mixed with the company stuff. So you're doing more personal, it feels like.
Yeah. It is more personal. Yeah, it is.
So I would consider, let's see. I would consider mixing in the business stuff, right? People still like your business and are still probably interested in your success. So I would share every once in a while from the Facebook page, or like a little bit of that.
Okay.
And try to you're doing better than me on this, like, maybe because you look more built than me, but I'm sharing like this personal stuff.
But that's one, like, that's like part of the green tech, like that's one there, the Christmas and year.
Okay,
that one is
awesome.
there. Yep.
So like I would just kind of alternate stuff, because you're going a little hard on the fitness. So like I would just like every other or like every third one do a little. If I was you, I'd come up with kind of like things you're doing. Like I know it's weird to strategize on our personal shit. I got
you running out of sunlight. So I'm
gonna
make this
he's
quick.
a big TikTok guy.
That's awesome. That's funny.
Yeah.
I would say mix, like I would come up with topics like you got fitness, then you hit business, then you hit motivational. It looks like you kind of doing a little bit of motivational here. I would just mix in more, like I would come up with like let's say motivational quote style thing or something. And on Facebook now, you know how you can do just kidding. I know you can do it because I see one down there. So the background ones, I would just mix those in, and I'd mix in like this type of thing a little bit
Maybe
more.
Maybe ask questions or something like that too. Like
that is definitely a big thing. You see all the influence, like the personalities.
The influencers. I see them, like they'll ask questions to their followers.
Ask a question here or there. Try to get people involved. Right, like be kind of, and then the other one is influence. You got Elizabeth on, or she was just tagging people, but like kind of it's also just rubbing shoulders with those guys. So be on our podcast. Like I'm obviously trying. I'm not saying I'm an influencer, but I'm trying on there, right? So rubbing those shoulders on here and kind of like back and forth. So it's questions. It's rubbing shoulders with other people that you kind of want to like be, you know, I'm not saying be like that, but you know, like
No, I get it. Like you
back
want to
and
be able
forth.
to create not really conflict or rubbing shoulders that way, but you want to create some debate. A
Yeah.
healthy debate. It's a healthy
Yeah. And I
debate,
think,
right? Like there's nothing wrong with the healthy debate. Like that's why
yeah,
God gives us the freedom of speech and be able to ask questions and our
yeah,
opinions.
exactly. And sometimes there's a little bit of like when you're pushing publish, you're thinking somebody's gonna say some shit on
I
this that
do. I have
I'm not
gone
gonna
out and
agree with.
deleted something. I've deleted stuff because I was like,
So this is what I would encourage you to. It's like, you know, Grant Cardone, however you feel about him, says like you need haters. You need because people amplify your shit, but it's not always just haters. Sometimes it's just they're contradicting, right? People are contrarian on the internet. So like the point is like you almost have to just be cool with that and get better about dealing with that. And it does cause friction in our heart because we want to just get along, right? And like I actually just want to hang out with like-minded people, and I don't really. So like somebody the other day, somebody I like is like said like I just want to be left alone. No, you don't, motherfucker. You want likes and you want shares and you don't want to be left alone. We need more attention. You know, you said the more hands you shake, the bigger your network gets, the
yeah,
better your income is, the more I think there's fulfilling aspects of that too, the impact. So
yeah,
I
the
think it's
impact.
like
Like if I could reach
just
more people, I could help more people, even if that's one person. But I could be able to reach more other, like-minded individuals.
yeah, so I think it's just kind of like it's part of that is that apprehension, right? When you're pressing click and just realize that's what it is and go, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like that's really what it is. It's like pressing publish anyways, even though you know somebody's
Even
gonna
though, like,
disagree.
yeah, it's almost like what Andy Elliott did too, which caused a lot of hate. It was, and he does it. I spoke to Andy Elliott in person about it, but I remember he said, if you don't have a six pack, you're fired. Well, not
Yeah, yeah.
everybody on the team has a six pack. What he means is like if you don't, change your physical, like try to become a little bit different. Like that's what he means. He's not going to really fire you because you don't have a six pack.
The
But when he
danger,
said that, oh, he created a whole. Everybody hated him.
and the part of the thing is once you realize that like saying something you really believe, or
But
if
yeah,
you're kind of instigating a little bit, that it works, like it will get attention. So my problem is I've been leveraging that like a lot. Like, so I did the tattoos at our booth at RoofCon.
yeah.
Then I did sorry to make this about me, but this was me
No,
kind of
you're
like
fine.
following that a little bit,
No, I
right?
mean, it's great ideas. I mean, I see it. I think it's hilarious. Not just hilarious, but it's also like great stuff. Like I'm watching amazed. Like that's pretty
Yeah.
cool. Like
So because I did that partly because on LinkedIn, people were hating on us because like a bunch of people on my team got hook tattooed on them. And so I had a bunch of comments, but it just drove it up in the algorithm, right? And so I was like, fuck it, I'm doubling down. And then I did it at RoofCon, and then we did Best Damn Roofer at Roofing Process, and he did fake cocaine in our booth, which like, yes, I was fucked up for doing that. Like that's fucked up. Like I maybe shouldn't have done that. But
it was so
I
funny. Like I take a joke. To me, it's like
yeah,
you gotta have a laugh. Like
yeah, so he posted that. Obviously, he has a giant audience all over his
yes, he
stuff.
does.
He has our logo tatted on him now too. And he like shows it in videos, and some of the videos I'm like, oh God. So I'm gonna wrap this up, but I just want to like for myself kind of recap this. And like people were mad. Like people were in Dimitri's comments like a few weeks later, like with screenshots of this. And then like, but I knew that was coming and I kind of wanted it. I kind of wanted
You want
it.
yeah,
And then yeah, and that's fucked up too. But and then we sponsored the fight, which obviously he won the fight. Did you
yeah,
see that?
yeah. No, I did. I did. Yeah,
He won the
you're part of
fight
it too.
and it was cool and it was really crazy. But I was just like, damn, we're just being spicy a lot. And so I think part of like the fear of some of this stuff is like you get progressively, it like makes you spicier because you know you're watching the algorithms and you know what gets like attention and you're like, oh
And
goodness.
it's
So I
kind of
gotta
the
watch.
spicy stuff that that you don't
Yeah,
want, but it really does.
I gotta watch it because I do think it kind of like progressively it would be bad if it pushed me into saying something I don't really believe.
That's the key, right?
Just for the outrage, right? So I need to like watch it because I don't want to just get into the spot where I'm saying something I don't believe for the outrage.
Yes.
Because it's kind of fun. Outrage is kind of addicting. It's addicting for the people that are outraged, and it's addicting for the people that are getting their shit like popped up on the algorithm because people are mad.
Sure, and making more money, right? And that's where you get the addiction, right? Because you see that.
Yeah, because
So you try to
attention.
do things that you don't really believe in to make money is not really good money tactics.
Yeah.
Right?
Because ultimately, like, I think it's a good thing to maybe end this little conversation on is ultimately like, we're good. You're going to be good, John. Like, you're going to make money. We're going to make money. We're doing good. We're making money. Like, so now at a certain point, once you have enough money, you're like, I want to be fulfilled. Like you said, I want to build a personal brand so I can create more meaningful, I want to
relationships,
people positively. So that's like at the end of the day, that's the real outcome we want, not just money, right? Like I love money, or maybe I'm not supposed to love money, but I like money. And then
money
I also
helps, money helps be the catalyst of doing the things I enjoy doing. And if I, like if I didn't have the money, I wouldn't be able to reach out or help other people. Like I see my money that I've made help other people in my organization be able to do things that they never thought they could do or give them a benefit, of that. So I look at it like that, but I don't, I love money and I do enjoy that it helps me help others.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to stop the recording here and then we can, if there's any other behind the scenes stuff that we should talk about. 1 second.